Well, welcome Southfield families to our Southfield Education for Online Learning. So happy you're able to join us today. The goal of today's Zoom webinar is to provide helpful tips and strategies for facilitating online learning at home. And joining us today will be our preschool director, Claire Colburn, our lower school director, Carly Feitner, and middle school director, Eric Lee. We're going to venture into some questions and strategies and answers that will best help you all at home as we go through this process with online learning. Part of the question and answer period will be organic as well, as they give advice not only from a director position, but also as parents. So online education, our first question: what routine should students go through at home each morning to help prepare for learning each day? Mr. Lee, can we start with you?
Sure. I think one of the most important things for middle school is to make sure they get plenty of sleep the night before. Make sure to set an alarm so they wake up in enough time to get dressed for success. So they have all of their materials, their Chromebook, and are ready for the learning to begin that morning.
And I agree with Mr. Lee. The same for lower school. I think a spot in your home that you can designate for their routine would be wonderful. Also, waking them up at a certain time, eating a breakfast, getting dressed, making sure that they know this is still a learning day and not a vacation day. And a schedule out for them has been proven successful for my home as well as others.
In preschool each morning, parents should talk about what that day will look like, particularly if there is going to be any variation in the routine. I also think having the daily schedule posted is a great idea for older preschool children.
Thank you very much. Our next question: at what age is it appropriate for students to go through these routines unassisted?
In middle school in particular, the students are accustomed to using Google Classroom on a regular basis. And so in 6th through 8th grade, this is something that the students are very comfortable with. For our 5th grade students that are just being exposed to Google Classroom this year, it may require some guidance from the parents, but the teacher is a wonderful resource to help them navigate Google Classroom across all the grade levels in middle school.
And so it's slightly different for lower school because I don't think our children are quite as comfortable with the technology that they are receiving in middle school. Today we have devised a plan with our teachers to kind of streamline more of their lessons into one document or one way of sending out to parents. And we're hopeful that that will make it a tad bit easier. We still have to assist a little bit with the technology, but we are hopeful that getting everything into one weekly piece will help make it quite easier for the students and the parents.
Ms. Coburn, is there anything that you would like to add as well?
I think preschool children still need assistance with their morning routine. So.
Great. All right, our next question: what should a home learning environment look like for students in each division?
In middle school, it's going to be important that the students have a quiet place free of distractions, cell phones put away. They also will need an outlet so they can charge their Chromebook. You certainly don't want to run out of juice during a lesson or an activity. And then I think, it may be best to have a high traffic area perhaps there where parents can still, kind of monitor from afar, but ultimately they should be independent and be able to take over on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So for lower school, we've encouraged our staff to provide the parents via Veracross emails or Seesaw with a plan ahead of time, and hopefully that can all be distributed within your household, and your home learning situation should look a lot like Mr. Lee's saying: quiet, no distractions, but with breaks allowed, and to understand that this is very different for them just as it is for all of us. So we've got to be flexible.
For preschool, their home learning environment should not require much change. Just perhaps a designated space for messier activities such as in the kitchen or outdoors.
Right. And one piece of advice I heard from Mr. Rao was that, for families that are using a router for Wi-Fi devices, the closer you are to that router, the more likely you'll have a strong connection for online learning. If you happen to be doing learning in the upstairs bedroom, but your router's downstairs in the living room, the connection may be weak. So think about your online learning centers at home being as close to the Wi-Fi router as possible.
Yes, and in middle school in particular, the Chromebooks that they are using are Wi-Fi only. In the event that there was a challenge, students can still log into a home desktop device using their Southfield login and password.
Great, thank you. All right, next question. How much help should parents provide their children with daily assignments and activities?
I think, like I said earlier, in middle school, the students are going to be accustomed to going to Google Classroom and looking for directions from each teacher. And with the schedule that we'll talk about a little bit later, that will help facilitate that and make it the daily process easier for the students.
And for lower school, our end-all be-all goal is for them to be as independent as they have been, but it is going to be slightly different. We may have to assist with how they get the information digitally, and showing them where to maneuver online to get whatever video comes up. But we are all very flexible in the process, and we know this, again, this is new to all of us. So we'll need to assist, but we hope to gain independence through the process.
Preschool teachers will continue to push out a variety of hands-on activities each day, in addition to the interactive videos and the stories. Some activities will require more assistance than others. Just see where each activity takes you. Children often have very different ideas about how to use materials, and that's okay. That's a point at which a parent can back off. It's also important for young children to have time just to play by themselves every day. So be sure you give that consideration in your schedules.
All said by everybody. On to our next question. What best allows students to learn? I was hoping to add some insight here from my perspective, but directors, feel free to add in. One of the most successful things for instruction in general, particularly in the classroom, is something called direct instruction, where usually the educator provides modeling of the lesson for the day, which a lot of our students will be able to see online through Zoom, Google Classroom, or Seesaw app. Time to practice, and that may be practicing with their instructor online or practicing with their parent as you go through some problems together, and then allow them to go into independent work. So taking what was modeled, what you practice together, and then allow time to work in it on their own. Sometimes it may feel like it's a bit of an obstacle to overcome, and it's okay to give them time to overcome that obstacle without assistance, depending on the age of your child. And then once the task is complete, sit down and take the opportunity to review through it, go through some closure, or also check in with the teacher as they close their meetings out at the end of the day to review problems, understand, okay, what did I learn well, and what do I need a little bit extra help with? Is there anything you all would like to add?
Well, I think that the only thing I would like to add is, like, our teachers are willing, they are here all day long to give any sort of tools, tips, conversations needed for your child. That's what they're here for right now. And so please use that mode of communication, whether it be text, email, call. That's what we're here for.
Right.
In thinking about preschool, I think young children need a safe and reassuring adult even more than they need activities. I encourage parents just to enjoy this time with your children. Predictable schedules are important, but they should be loose. Don't try to adhere to a very strict timeline each day. For example, if you're outside and enjoying being outdoors with your child, don't stop and go in just because the schedule says it's time to do art. And just be sure that you include some downtime each day, whether that's a nap or even just some quiet time.
Thank you very much. Next question. What is the best way to reach out to teachers during this time?
In middle school, email is going to be the best way to reach out to the teachers. If they have any questions or are experiencing trouble with any of the lessons or technical difficulties, and we will do everything we can to assist.
And I think the same is for lower school. We also have the Seesaw app, and I think many of our teachers text and call with parents. So any way that you reach out to your teacher, they will get back to you. Email is kind of just the most efficient way to answer questions. So I would say email, but don't hesitate to use any other way as well.
And preschool teachers are active on Seesaw every day. So I think that's always a great place to start. They are checking their email as well.
Great. Well, in a recent email to our community, we talked about this week we will have new schedules or adaptations to our schedule. So what will the new schedule look like for each child's division? Julie?
The middle school schedule for starting Tuesday is going to allow opportunity for basically your main academic courses, 3 per day for each grade level. And so it'll allow the teachers to provide well thought out lessons and the students time to work independently and take in the new learning, and then come together in the end to reflect on what they learned.
And so for lower school, we have already practiced Zoom a bit. So if you're listening to this, you've probably seen something about it, and it's been very well received and the kids love it. And so our plan is to do like an opening meeting in the morning and then like a closing meeting in the afternoon. Clearly not required, but just an option. We're also going to be able to pre-record things via Zoom. So if there is like a new concept that's being taught by our staff, the child will be able to go back and view the lesson and then again, be able to ask questions to the teachers as well. And if you see the schedule that's put up right now, I mean, we've inserted breaks and specialist times, and we will continue to send those as well. So.
Great. And Ms. Coburn?
Well, you can see that we in preschool will continue with a play-based learning schedule, which parents can implement in whatever way works well for their household. And if your schedule that you have created is not working, please reach out to your child's teacher. They can help you tweak that and figure out something that might work better for you. Our teachers will continue to post activities and videos each day, and we will also begin hosting morning meetings next week. You may get communication from your teachers this week to try to find out what time of day will work best for the majority of our families.
And I think you heard it from all 3 division directors, understanding that every family's schedule may be different and it may not be same day to day, but what we're hoping to provide is at least some predictability on our end, so you know what is always coming out from Southfield from each division, and that these are suggestions to cultivate the best learning at home, but also to allow room for each family to choose their own adventure with the schedule when need be and be flexible with everyone's situation at this moment. Well, some final advice before we sign off here. We want to be there for all of our families and want you to know that your children come first and foremost, and please put that in mind when trying to adapt to online learning. We're going to get through this together as a community, and please reach out to us about what works well, what is not working, and finally, things happen. Do your best to accommodate it, and know that we are here for you. So please reach out to us whenever is necessary, and that we want to continue the tradition of having a very strong Southfield family, and look forward to maintaining that partnership to the best of our abilities. Anything else anyone wants to say before we close out here?
We miss y'all.
We do. We
We
miss
miss
you.
you all so much. We have such a wonderful community, and you guys have just been fantastic throughout this entire process, and we love you guys, and we can't wait to get back together in person.
Well said. Well, thank you, division directors and Southfield families.
Thank
We
you,
look forward to
Justin.
hearing from you. Share your thoughts, what works, what doesn't work, or just check in general. We're loving the social media pictures and